right, how's everybody doing? So, as, as my tablet goes off telling me I'm live, as you can see from the title, I'm seeing what kind of tools you guys want me to look at. You know, trying to have you give me some ideas on the kind of tools you want me to review coming up. Quick tool junkie, what's going on? Quick wrench tool junkie. But yeah, no, I mean, let me know what kind of Samuel, what's going on? Joe Mama, what's up? Oh, I got a story for a little bit later, but Nathan Sheffield. Yeah, the problem is I would have to buy the Snap-on Impact. He wants me to review the do it against the Snap-on Impact, and that, what, $900 for the Snap-on? Hard to justify that, for a video that's not going to make, enough to cover the cost. And then I've got an Impact that I'm not going to use. So it's hard to justify that kind of stuff for a lot of videos. John, how's it going? Appreciate it. I got another one coming tomorrow. Working through the Milwaukee pipeline stuff coming out. So but yeah, I mean, that's one of the hardest things. I'm sure I don't know anybody that's bought one. Matco Air Impact, again, it's buying tools for videos is great, except I have to pay for them, and then I don't get any use out of them. I got to try to sell them, and I don't generally try to sell tools. I mean, it's a beast. The new Milwaukee 1/2 inch is just a total beast. If you need more power than that thing, you need to go to the 3/4 of the 1 inch, honestly. I mean, it's just a monster. They just keep getting better. Yeah, John, I mean, that's the thing is like Snap-on stuff is so expensive. I mean, it just keeps getting more and more expensive. I mean, it's like they don't even think about anything other than your opinion on Milwaukee versus DeWalt. I'll hear that. DeWalt makes good stuff. I mean, I don't think I did talk about it when I did a video on the Milwaukee Sawzall. I had a DeWalt cutoff saw, reciprocating saw for over 20 years, and it still worked. It still did great until the very end when it started letting out magic smoke. I know people that use DeWalt, they're good stuff. You have to be selective. I have seen some evidence that package deals are not as good as buying them individually. They tend to do some cheaper stuff in the combo kits, if you know what I mean. But John, I wonder how the interest rates are on the truck. It depends on your credit on everything. I mean, with Matco, I had like 7% interest. But like, I know people that have 24% interest. It all depends on the old credit score. So, I mean, that's like anything else. I mean, I could, not flexing, but if I wanted to buy a toolbox right now, I could swipe a credit card and put it on a 0% transfer to another card and have 0% for for a year to pay it off. But, a lot of people don't think like that when it comes to tool trucks. And that's usually the people that wind up with 24% interest on the tool truck, is because they don't care about their credit and they have poor credit. Renegade, what's going on? We only had a Snap-on and Mack truck when I was a tech in the 80s. No internet. Sears Craftsman was big. Yeah, I had a lot of... my problem when I was coming into this is Sears was... The closest Sears was in Marietta, which was 40 minutes away back then. So I used a lot of stuff I got at pawn stores, pawn shops, and Husky. And I broke a lot of those Huskies. So that was a lot of wasted money. I still have some Husky wrenches, I think. I've never replaced. They were SAE flare nut wrenches. They were okay. They weren't great, but they worked. Junkyard Genius would like to see maybe some alternatives on a lot of specialty tools like testers. That's a good idea. Junkyard, I appreciate that. Yeah, I can probably come up with some good stuff on that. Why do people love their Milwaukee or DeWalt electric tools, but the second someone has Milwaukee or DeWalt hand tools, it's instantly labeled as garbage? Sockets are sockets, right? Well, and I'm going to pick on Milwaukee, some of their, especially contractor tools, have not always been the best. They've been kind of crappy. It was funny because Milwaukee's tape measures are made, the actual tape measures, I forget the company name, but that's who made them before they bought that company. And everybody's talked about how Milwaukee tape measures were junk. And the company they got them from was awesome. And they bought them and they still use the exact same thing. And, it's like, there's fanboyisms with anything when it comes to especially tools. Sometimes the Milwaukee sockets are good. I've got Milwaukee sockets I want to review. They're not perfect, but they're definitely very serviceable. They'll give you a long lifetime of service. The chrome stuff has been great. But some of the stuff that they've put out has been junk. The DeWalt sockets were mediocre back in the day. I think they've since Stanley bought them, I think they're now supplied by Stanley. I think they were cheap Taiwanese manufactured before that. And I know they weren't designed for automotive. They were designed for contractors and stuff like that primarily. But a lot of that stuff was kind of mediocre. It was those companies trying to get into a market they weren't in. John Gibson, I had one drawer of metric at the end when I left dealership that was for wrenches and sockets. Yeah, I have multiple drawers for sockets. Yeah, it's a different time. I remember, using just like I bought metric primarily to have, and then slowly wound up switching completely over to metric. And I had SAE stuff for weird things, but it times change. Nathan Sheffield, I will never buy another Snap-on electric product ever again. That's the other thing that I've been burned by Milwaukee electric power tools. I had their 1/2-inch NiCad gun that was garbage. It struggled to take off lug nuts I had just put on with a torque wrench. And I've had people tell me, oh, it was defective. I talked to another guy that had the exact same problem with a gun that he bought at a different time. And he's had the same problem with that gun. And I just, and then the whole lawsuit against Milwaukee for stealing their technology on battery management. Snap-on lost that, by the way. They had to pay Milwaukee a buttload of money. Yeah, John, techs today have so many choices when it comes to tools. I mean, they are. I mean, back when we were coming up, I mean, you had the tool trucks, you had Craftsman, you had SK, and SK went from really good to really bad to okay, depending on what company owned them during the time. So you could find used SK stuff that was just garbage, or you could find good stuff. A lot of the the Craftsman Pro stuff when it first came out was made by SK, and it was really good. And then SK being SK, yeah. John also says tools have been expensive, and today it seems they keep coming out with specialized tools. Yeah. They keep adding more and more and more special sockets, more Torx, Torx Plus, etc. Yeah, Samuel, he says he bought a couple DeWalt sockets 2 years ago to replace a handful. They seem to be fine. I believe they've gone to Stanley Manufacturing for the sockets, so they're probably pretty decent. I mean, Stanley is who owns Mac Tools, so. Charles, I have a job. I've got a video coming Wednesday. I'm never filming in a shop again. I'm not going through the restrictions of trying to get a boss to let me use the shop after night. That's the thing, is I have a job, so. There'll be a video next Wednesday on that, but it's a lot easier for me to film in my home studio rather than in a shop. Like at the old shop, I'd waste 3 to 4 hours on Thursday nights waiting for the sun to go down, waiting for traffic to die down, just to film, to get home at 10 o'clock at night, then have to ingest my footage, and it's 4 hours every week, 3 to 4 hours every week that I didn't have. And that's like the reason I do these streams, is because I no longer have to sit at the shop for 4 hours on a Thursday. And, I've done a couple streams at the shop, but the problem for me when I'm filming that night is I need to, think about what I'm going to say. Because if I don't, videos come out like garbage. So, but anyway, John Gibson says NiCad was bad because batteries were always dead or near death when you go to use them. I use that gun pretty regularly, and I had a battery on the charger all the time, so I could always swap it out. But I hated that gun. It was so heavy and so not useful. I mean, I literally would just grab my air gun after the new wore off. I was like, screw this. Samuel still uses a lot of SAE working on semis. Trailers are all SAE, and a lot of chassis parts on trucks are SAE. Yeah, that's it's funny how often even European-based trucks have SAE. Like I used to work on Mac midliners, which are rebadged Renaults, and they were metric and a lot of SAE on a lot of stuff. So mostly the upfitter stuff. But yeah, it was the sad part is with trucks, you kind of have to have both. Less so in automotive, where unless you're working on older stuff, you just need metric. Milwaukee wrenches and sockets and diesel fleet maintenance, and they work just fine. I can't see shelling out money for something like Snap-on wrenches or sockets. Yeah, no, the Milwaukee stuff is good. I mean, I've been really impressed with the Milwaukee sockets, the ones I've used. abused. So yeah, no, I mean the wrenches are really good. I've been, they're a little thick is my only gripe against the Milwaukee wrenches themselves, but no, I mean their sockets and wrenches are rock solid. Nathan, techs do have more options, but I do feel sorry for new techs. Um, has told are expensive. It would be hard coming up as a tech today. Not really, because excuse me, because there is so many options on tools. You don't have to. I mean, like, I'm going to be honest. My initial toolbox was a Husky box, top and bottom box, mix of Husky, Craftsman. You know, I didn't have a lot of money in my tools when I first started working on stuff. And, you know, you don't have to start out with a lot of really that much tools. And you can, there's, you know, Harbor Freight get a bunch of stuff from Harbor Freight for, you know, like the air tools and that kind of stuff. You're not into that much money. It's not super expensive. I think Humble Mechanic did a $1,500 starter toolbox for an apprentice at his old dealership. So it's not that expensive. Moving forward, it does get accumulatively expensive. Believe me. But yeah, I mean it's not as, the thing is it's not as bad as it was when your options and the attitudes in shops. Like I remember getting just absolutely teased because I didn't have a box full of Snap-on starting out. And electrical and electronics is a huge thing for a tech today. Yeah. That's something they really need to focus on. I bought older vehicles on purpose because the electronics suck. John, a lot of work goes into the videos and channels. Yes, it's surprising a large amount of work that people just don't, you know, they think, like, I would get comments like, you know, why didn't this, you know, how do you, you know, they think I turn on a camera, film it, and then upload it. No, has to be filmed, has to be uploaded, have to do the thumbnail, the SEO stuff, you know, all that kind of stuff. And, you know, depending on the project, I mean, a video edit can take hours. One of the channels I watch is a video editor for a tech channel, and it takes him a day, 8 hours to edit one video. Now, most of my videos do not take that long, but they can. I mean, they can take, you know, doing a screen capture and then getting B-roll and everything like that can take a lot of times. Eric Jano, stinks seeing new techs with 10 grand plus toolbox with no tools to fill it. Yes, absolutely. I've preached it for years. Start out with a roll cart or a basic toolbox. Worry about getting tools. It's just a box. I mean, I've unfortunately seen it many, many times where you've got a tech with a, you know, triple bank, and they literally could fill one middle drawer with all the tools they own, and they're paying every bit of money they can afford for a toolbox, so they can't afford tools. Just insane. Boy Brew, you rock. Thank you. I appreciate it. Coming from a diesel mechanic on Class 6 and 8 trucks. Awesome. John Gibson always liked Snap-on ratchets and wrenches. I love their wrenches. I've had them for decades. The ratchets, I've moved away from their ratchets. I'm, you know, Matco fanboy now as far as their ratchets, mostly just because of the handle fits my hand really well, and I like the locking flex head. the mechanism on the snap-on, I have no problem with. You know, but yeah. R3YNZ, no AST this year. No, unfortunately, I was not going to be able to attend. It's happening right now. In fact, I think a little while ago, Scanner Danner was live on the J&J show. So, but no, unfortunately, not going to AST this year. Don Prudhomme, how about Milwaukee picks and screwdrivers, user sockets, and wrenches on AG equipment? Been really happy with them. I've got those requested. The picks at least. Screwdrivers seem fine. I honestly, unless you're doing prying on with them, chances are they're going to be decent for everything you're going to use them for. If you're dealing with JIS screws on like Asian equipment or something like that, which I probably doubt, I would just get Vessel JIS screwdrivers in the various sizes. They're excellent and they're cheap. But yeah, I haven't had any complaints with that kind of stuff. Yeah, John Gibson, Harbor Freight and China Tools were terrible in the 80s. The thing about it is I worked for, I've talked about it. I worked for Challenger Lifts, and I've talked to the engineers that worked and traveled to China because components and complete lifts were made in China. Not the American CL series. Those were made in Kentucky. They're still made in Kentucky, but Chinese lifts. And the thing about it is with Chinese manufacturers is, one, they will cheap out on you. If you're not watching them, the product will degrade if you don't keep an eye on them, which is really dangerous when it comes to lift equipment. But they can build anything to your specification as long as you're willing to pay for it. So if you want something ultra precision, ultra hardened, they can do it. Just whether or not you're willing to pay for it, and there's a market for it. But yeah, no, I mean, it was back then. China, Taiwan, garbage and everything. Yeah, Gordon, the contents matter much more than the box. Yes. Now I got the Revel X's, but the tools you have in them matter way more than just in quantity. If you don't have tools, you need to go buy tools. You don't need a fancy toolbox. Kind of scrolled a little past stuff. Nathan, I've been a tech for 15 years. Yes, in the beginning, I did pay out for tool truck tools because I wanted them to last. They weren't, to my knowledge, too many alternatives. 15 years ago, there were not. No, there were a lot less choices 15 years ago. John Gibson, voltage drop causes weird things to happen on vehicles with electronics. Yes, they do. Simply a bad ground for an ECM will cause a no start. Bad ground on a fuel pump will cause a no start. Voltage drop on power to that fuel pump will cause a voltage drop. Or cause a no start. MT like Matco ratchets are slim and nice grip. Yes, that's especially their 1/4 inch are the thinnest, other than the ultra thin ones, which I always break. But yeah, that's why I use Matco. It's not like I joke about being a Matco fanboy, but I do actually really like the grips on the Matco ratchets, and the locking head is. The thing about it is the locking head is only useful every now and then for me, but when I want it, I want it. Um, Nathan Sheffield, 2 years ago, I finally bought a triple bank snap-on box off the truck for $7,000 with a stainless steel power top. After trade-in for a 2-bank Matco I bought for $500, got $4,000 on trade. Yeah. Some of the older viewers will remember the yellow Matco that I started filming in front of for my channel. I paid $2,000 for that. I got $10,000 in trade-in. Which just is a discount. You know, I think he sold it for like $1,500, but you know, it's like buying a car. They do finance math. But yeah, no, John Gibson, you need a good computer to edit those videos. Yeah. Yeah. You also need a lot of storage. Because I'm, you know, I don't, some of you may or not know, I have another channel where I do computer stuff and servers, and I've have a Blackmagic Pocket Cinema 6K for shooting at the house. You know, and it records rather large files. And, so yeah, you need a lot of storage too. I mean, it records to a 1 terabyte SSD. But yeah, no, I mean, yeah, just to render out a 4K video, which everything I shoot is in 4K. Yeah, you do need a powerful computer. That's why that little thing back there with the 3 screens, that would be my editing PC. I got a question. What does good data look like when you do a automotive diagnostic for example, a crank sensor? Are you looking at with a scope? And the thing about it is it depends on what kind of sensor it is. Hall effect sensor. There's, you know, that's a very broad question to ask, Daniel, because it depends on what kind of sensor you're looking at and what kind of sensor it is, meaning Hall effect, 3-wire sensor, etc. So it just depends. JFH, I've been introduced to picoscopes and how to use them, but in a classroom setting. Do you have any recommendations for channels or websites for more information or an intro, at least 2-channel scopes? Thanks. Search my channel for picoscope. I did a basics, couple episodes of scope basics. Scanner Danner has done a really good series on the picoscope on his channel. Keep in mind what scope they use does not matter. Whether it's a snap-on scope, an MSIG, a Hanatech, or a Pico, they all have advantages and disadvantages, or an ATS. Also, Royalty Auto Service, ex co-worker of mine works there now. Andrew, he's on camera every now and then. They have ATSs. The scope doesn't matter. The principles are all the same. Just the setup of the scope itself varies. But mine was based on a Pico scope, so it will be, you know, applicable to what you're asking about. Scanner Danner also did picoscope stuff a few years ago as well. And, you know, Super Mario has a lot of scope classes. So does South Main Auto. But once you start learning a scope and get more and more familiar with it, it's just the idiosyncrasies of each scope, whether it's a snap-on, like I have snap-on, launch, and Pico, and they all kind of, the Pico and the launch all work very similarly. The snap-on is a little backwards from the other ones, so you just have to learn the scope you're using, but the basics are all the same. So you just have to figure out the right knobs to push when it comes to the particular scope you're using. the best advice I can give you is, get a scope. Play with it when you have time. Look at known good signals and play with it. Same for Daniel. Hook up to a sensor. Look at a known good one. Always start with known good. Trying to figure out how to use a scope on a broke car is a bad idea because you don't know if it's how you're hooking it up, how you have the scope set up, because that is important, especially on like a snap-on scope, or if you've got the trigger on, or any scope with a trigger on that's out of range manually. You may not even pick up anything on the scope and you think you're screwing something up when all you got to do is turn the trigger off and it'll show on the screen, or put it to auto, etc. So get you a scope. A U scope from AES Wave is a great starter scope. Gets you into, playing with it and learning it. And it's, something you'll use day in, day out, even when you have other scopes. John Gibson, you really need to learn a scope. Yep. I 100% agree with that. Jack, I'm back to work. As I said earlier in the stream, I don't know if you're listening to it because I'm still catching back up. But I'm not filming in a shop, not putting myself in the restriction of getting permission to film in somebody else's property. There's liability there, getting permission. And if something goes south, toolboxes have wheels, I have to deal with that again. And I don't want to go back to that. Plus, it's a lot more time for me to do other stuff because I don't have to waste time waiting for the sun to go down or stuff like that. So I'm back to work, but the videos will continue to be filmed in my studio. So Honda Doc, I'll always remember one of my mentors saying, the tools make you money, not the toolbox. Yes, the toolbox is merely to keep them safe and organized. That's one of the only good reasons to upgrade to something like a customized tool truck box, is so you can infinitely organize it to make you as efficient as possible. Jumped again. Big Shell 007, appreciate the super chat. Icon series and their boxes. I think their boxes are pretty decent for what they are. I mean, for the cost of them, I think they're pretty decent. I love how it scrolls all the way down. John Gibson, you have the OBD2 side and then the CAN network, one device malfunctions on CAN, and you get all sorts of codes. Even more fun when you have a gateway module between the CAN network and the OBD2 connector. There's a little green Mercedes-Benz piece of junk that's in Jeeps that sucks. And on the Grand Cherokees, I don't know how you get that sucker out. Luckily for me, I didn't have to. That wasn't the problem with one Jeep I worked on. I had a different problem, but I had one Jeep that it's a multi-CAN network connector. It's a junction box kind of thing, but it's got circuitry in it. That was a nightmare to nail down, to actually diagnose that car, because it was so incredibly intermittent. But yeah, adding a gateway module into a CAN network even makes it more fun. Saline 961, I guess not 80% of my trucks came off the tool truck. I have about $60K invested, and then includes my Matco 6S box. Probably spent about $80K by the time I retire. I'm buying a lot of used tools. They're pretty durable, and if you buy good quality stuff, they're warranted. So, John Gibson, most people today use the bits on the impact driver, not the screwdrivers. Yeah, no, I use the vessel screwdrivers for that. Yeah, John, screwdrivers are incredibly marked up on the tool truck. And I did a whole dedicated video to that. You don't need, for the most part, because what do you use a flathead screwdriver for? A pry bar. Phillips, by the vessels, they're way better. R3YNZ, I'm a big fan of Lyle and Mayhew. Yep. Surprising how much Lyle stuff is rebranded on the tool truck. I think gear wrench is becoming the new gear wrench. Mike, a set of sockets, 50 different brand names. Hey, man, whatever works. Justin Hayward, new truck should get gray pneumatic. They make like every socket out there and are really good. Impact sockets, 3/8, half-inch, quarter-inch sockets, just use chrome. It depends if you're using Milwaukee Impacts on them. I have broken some quarter-inch tool truck brands. Just saying. Is there a tool called a bit ratcheting wrench? Yes. They're made by Sunix. They're made by Vim. You put the bit into a wrench and it ratchets. But yeah, there's tons of them out there. John Gibson, buying a toolbox is like buying a car. Yeah. I've seen some people own a more expensive toolbox than their car. I never had that problem. Same sockets. Charles, Matco hasn't changed their handles in over 15 years, unlike all the others. I got rid of all my straight handles and changed them for locking handles. Yeah, I don't. The only long ratchets I have are like ones I was sent by Astro Pneumatic, or I think Milwaukee sent me a couple. But other than that, I just use the Matco locking flex head when I need it to be straight. Ronald Baxter, Matco is not owned by Black & Decker. His parent company to Craftsman and DeWalt, to say the least. When I see Snap-on, Cornwell, Matco trucks at my shop every week, I'll pass. Matco is not owned by Black & Decker. Mac is owned by Stanley Works, which owns Black & Decker. Matco is owned by a investment company. They own a lot of stuff, but they don't own Black & Decker. What little is made at this takes a lot of work. Yeah, it does. I mean, it people don't realize, John, like, you got to plan. I write my content, meaning I come up with it how I want to say it, and the bullet points in my head. I don't actually write a script. You don't want to see me reading a script. But yeah, Samuel Wright, Stanley Works, parent company, whatever. They own Black & Decker. They own Irwin, Stanley. They own a bunch of companies. Nemo wrenches forever. When I started, I purchased gray pneumatic duo sockets. Snap-on hand tools are good, but their electrical tools are trash. Yeah, they are. I also own the Matco locking flex heads. Really like the slim heads. FRM shirts, they are in the store, Lewis. You can buy them. Astro. I'm not familiar with Asteroid. I don't know if that's spell check or not, but Astro Pneumatic has them, or not Astro. Yeah, Astro Pneumatic has them, a bunch of one. MT, I like the Studio better. Yeah, I like the Studio a lot better too. I have an air conditioning vent that blows on me when I'm recording instead of sweating, even when the air conditioner at the old shop was on. Little side note on the air conditioning at that shop sucked. If you were towards the doors in the main shop, you were sweating like there wasn't any air conditioning in the shop, because it was the radiated heat right at the door. There was no airflow. So it wasn't that good. It wasn't that bad when you're standing like in the front of the bays, but it never got really that comfortable in that shop. But it's really comfortable this is literally the coldest room in my house. So just saying. Icon wrenches are good, are great. Turk Tech says, been using the 3/8 head professionally for 2 years now. They're, yeah, no, I mean, they're made by, I believe by Cabo, but I'm not sure on the ratchets. I know the wrenches are made by Cabo. Mike, hats. I would love to do hats, Lewis. Unfortunately, I don't have anybody that would do them to make the logo and all that. If I would do them, I'd want the patch like the work shirts I have, but I had to literally, I'd have to do a store or something to make those. We're a Junkyard Genius. Yeah, we're as good. Funny, that's what I was talking about. 2014, Cherokee Can Network had a grill shutter problem. Did you lose the hat, Mike? No, it's sitting over there. I'm in my house. I mean, you know, I wear the hat in the videos just because I don't have to do my hair. But yeah, I mean, it's, I normally wear a hat. It's just kind of a little weird sitting at a computer wearing a hat. But, no, my hat's right over there. Thoughts on Astra's new 1895 Gen 2 of the 1894. Let me double check on that. Make sure I'm talking about the right one. Oh, the Nano Flex head. Let me pop the chat back up. Yeah, I haven't used it. I don't know anybody that has used it other than like Eric O. I know they were good, the one I played with, but I mean, they seem to work really well. Astro's always made good stuff. They don't put out junk, so I'd have no problem buying it. Hancock, I paid $1,600 for my Avalanche and have a close to $20K in my Revel X by the time I've added the hutch and the locker. Yeah, but you probably have tools to put in that Revel X. John, you have to take the take-off front clip to get to the active shutters. Yes. Some of those active shutters can be a complete nightmare to get in and out. They suck sometimes. Daniel BC, what is the best YouTube channel to learn automotive data like frequencies, perhaps all that stuff? Yeah, Lewis, I'm working. Scanner Danner, South Main Auto, GoTech, obviously Super Mario, really good. You want to get into more advanced stuff, L1 Automotive or L1 Diagnostics. Mike Becker at GoTech is really good at explaining stuff. Of course, Super Mario. But yeah, and of course Scanner Danner. And he, a lot of his stuff is still on YouTube and can be watched for free, so you don't have to subscribe to his main channel. But anyway, Saline, I've never worked in a shop with AC, but one shop installed a waste oil heater next to my bay, and it ran full blast in the summer to save on oil disposal costs. That sucks. Yeah, before he put the air conditioning system in there, we had 2 waste oil heaters. The one waste oil heater was right next to my bays. Cantankerous, like all get out. It sucked because there was no air distribution. It was just a vent blowing one way. And so I was always sweating in the winter. And if you were in the last bay of that side of the shop, you were also sweating. And if you were the bay over, you were freezing. And the back three bays, you well, you just kind of froze anyway because that heater really sucked. It was a complete piece of junk. Like I used to tell, whoever worked in that last bay, they'd be like, "Can we turn the heater off? I'm sweating." Like, dude, tell me to shut it off. I'm always sweating in the winter. Lewis, you look like a rock star. Well, I appreciate it. Ulrich, depending on what part of the country and he's going to a shop with a waste oil burner, no AC, but going into a shop that has natural gas heaters, multiples, and swamp coolers. Depending on what kind of area you're in, swamp coolers can be really effective or not at all. Just depends how much humidity is out there. Junkyard Genius, I've been dailying the new Astro-Pneumatic long flex head, and I've put cheater bars on it. It's great. Like I said, Astro-Pneumatic puts out good stuff. They really do. I don't have any doubt when they put out a product, I know it's been tested and very thoroughly tested. Oh yeah, Callie Jr. said Pine Hollow Auto Diagnostics. Yes, Ivan is wicked smart. He's probably genius level at least. The Hemi guy buy used boxes, have Maximizer Superstation top bottom lockers, a large Epic edge box, a Tech series before it was called Tex, and a roll car I use for my airbrush equipment. Mine looks new. I cannot buy. He said also I can't justify buying new. I'm a body shop guy. My shop is always dirty. Having seen several body shop trade-in toolboxes. In fact, I know somebody that bought one of those trade-in toolboxes. They're always covered in dust everywhere. I mean, for like years afterwards. Like my yellow box at one point in its life was in a body shop. Tech that used to work at the shop had it for a while. He traded it on a new box. I bought it off the truck. And, so it'd been used for a couple years and it still had body shop dust in it. The Astro is only $189. Very cool. Lewis, Milwaukee hand tools. Milwaukee. Renegade, appreciate. Took the like button. Tracks are cruddy. Yeah, especially if you get anybody, some proto made in China. Yeah, proto is made. I got so much hate. A video I did years ago talking about industrial sockets, and that was back when Armstrong still made sockets, and that's how long ago I did the video. But I got so much crap from people who just like, oh, industrial sockets, they're the best ever. They have Chinese and American made, and they're not going to be made to the same spec. But the Chinese stuff is like one prefix in the part number different or something like that. I forget. I looked it up a long time ago, but yeah, I mean, like everything else, there's Snap-on sells stuff that's made in China that they, don't like to tell you they make in China. All right, so chat kind of calmed down here for a minute. I'm gonna tell a story. Ulrich says Ulrich Patterson says I don't like the Milwaukee hand tools. Do not feel good in the hands. The ratchets are not my favorite. The wrenches are fine for me, but yeah, it's personal preference. So about a month ago, I, did a clickbait title on this live stream talking about, pulling people out of the fire. Well, if you weren't familiar, you weren't in the stream. I literally witnessed a crash happen in front of me on the highway. I stopped, me and another gentleman pulled him out of his car that was catching on fire. A couple more Good Samaritans showed up. One woman gave him first aid. She's a paramedic. Another guy helped us move him away from the vehicle. So there was 4 of us that helped this guy out. And, his car caught on fire. Before the fire department got there, it was fully enveloped. And, so me and 3 other people helped save this man's life. And this is where it gets pretty trippy. So today, my wife and I got messages. My wife had posted the picture I took at the crash site on Facebook. And my kids' adopted grandparents, they were our neighbors. They became grandma and pop, Granny and Poppy to my kids. They stayed over there. That's one of their grandparents, that's their grandparents from another, family, but my kids consider them grandparents. The gentleman I pulled out or helped pull out, their parents are lifelong friends of theirs. So I literally have been thanked by his parents and by him over Facebook. But think about that. People I know knew this family. So that's pretty trippy. That little, thing that happened, and it connects to my, kids' adopted grandparents that, like they'll go over there and hang out. So yeah, it's pretty crazy. But yeah, literally just today. So he is learning how to walk again. Found out he suffers from seizures, and he obviously had one. He thought had gotten it taken care of, I guess, with medication or whatever, and had a seizure, and that's what happened. He had a seizure, blacked out, and then cut across the highway. Yeah, Samuel, it's a very small world. It's crazy, but they've known him like all of their lives. And, it's just like insane that just complete happenstance that I was there when their, friends, kid just, had a seizure and crashed. Yeah, Hemi-Guide is a great thing to save a life. I mean, it's there was no way after seeing him cross in front of me and go headfirst into a tree was I not going to stop. And luckily there was many more people that stopped as well to help him. So yeah, that was, glad I was there to help this kid. Well, thank you. I appreciate it, the Hemi guy. But yeah, no, I was just weird that, because I always wondered what happened to him, because I knew he broke at least his leg, if not his hip, which I'm guessing from having to go through rehab, he probably broke his hip. But yeah, no, it's just weird that close of a connection. And, because I don't live in Atlanta, in case y'all don't know that. I live in the suburbs. And, so anyway, all right. So a little inspiration for you. Yeah, Samuel Snap-on makes plenty in China. Yeah, they do. Increasingly more and more too. Lewis, I appreciate that. You got to do the right thing. And driving by was not the right thing. The Hemi guy did some search and rescue during hurricanes when I was in the military. That's cool. Yeah, I just fixed cars and stuff. Yeah, no, I mean, the thing is like, I couldn't drive by. I mean, I saw it happen. R3Y and Z for Snap-on, about what percentage of hand tools is Chinese? The Snap-on stuff, the general Snap-on hand tool sockets is going to be US made, but like the ratchet mechanisms, I believe, are made in China. A lot of that kind of stuff that's not foundry is going to be manufactured in other parts of the world. But I couldn't give you exact, especially when it's just a small part of a product. They don't generally have to disclose how much, like, I will give you a really, really good example. Challenger lifts. Because of the power unit for the hydraulics was not made in the US, despite 100% of the lift at that time being made in the US, it could not be labeled made in the US. It could only be assembled in the US because of a power supply. The hydraulic unit where you push the button, and probably the hoses and stuff, other stuff like that. But it's so, the rules are so convoluted and weird, government being government. So they a lot of times don't disclose a lot of that kind of stuff really readily. In fact, a lot of manufacturers like Snap-on got a lot of heat for taking off made in the USA on some of their tools, and people went in an uproar about it. Matco had the same problem where for like one run during the pandemic, their ratchets didn't say made in the USA, even though they were made in the USA. In fact, those are, I believe, 100% made in the USA. They're made all at the same plant, including the ratcheting mechanisms. Don't quote me on that, but I believe. But I mean, there was a huge uproar and nothing changed with the ratchet other than the manufacturer was trying to get as much product out as they could during the pandemic with limited resources. So they were cutting marking stuff on a ratchet. Samuel, gotta love when you buy something on the Snap-on truck and then later when you're putting it in your box, you see made in China. LOL. Yeah. Just a side note, if you're ever looking at a Snap-on tool and the part number starts with LIL, it is a Lyle tool. It is straight up a Lyle tool. Is not Snap-on, even though it can say Snap-on. That was a mind blower to me, that so much stuff that Snap-on sells as Snap-on is made by Lyle. Like, it's not labeled Blue Point, labeled Snap-on, and it's made by Lyle. Ulrich Patterson, but people caught on. Yep. The Hemi guy, what are your thoughts on Mac tools? I'm about 50-50, Mac and Snap-on. Mac makes some good stuff. The wrenches, they're older style flat wrenches I hate. Nothing wrong with them. They didn't fit with my hand real well. Their sockets are okay. Their pinned impact swivels are garbage. My old Mac dealer would not sell them. He literally would not sell them. He's like, you do not want to buy these. They will explode in your face. And Bam Bam from the old shop had several blow up on him. When he's handing the base of it to the Mac guy to get warrantied. Just saying. But the sockets, I don't have a lot of experience with. I've never owned them because I starting out, my Mac guy was a douche and I didn't want to give him money, so I didn't. Well, we'll tell the story. So, poor kid working on cars, and early on in my career, and I couldn't find my 10 millimeter wrench. Probably lost it. And so I need a tool. I need a 10 millimeter. So I go on the Mac truck and I need a 10 millimeter wrench. So the guy pulls this roll. You remember the Mac rolls of wrenches? pulls out this dusty, huge 10 to 19 millimeter roll of wrenches. And, it's dusty, it's nasty. And he goes, well, I can't break this set up. I don't have a spare one. So it's, however much the wrenches were. And he would not break the set, even though it was literally pull it out, hand it to me. He would not sell me a 10 millimeter wrench out of that. And, so I'm like, screw that. I can't afford that. Sorry. So I'm like, okay, the Snap-on guy came later that day. So I go on the truck and I go, I need a 10 millimeter wrench. And he busts open a package, rips apart an unopened set of wrenches, and pulls out that 10 millimeter, hands it to me, and gives me the price of whatever the heck it was. I mean, it was, 10 millimeter wrench. So, at that time, 30 years ago, or close to 30 years ago. And he tells me the price, and I'm like, well, how much is the whole set? And I bought it on the truck. That was my first new set of tools off the Snap-on truck. Was a set of Snap-on metric wrenches from 8 to 19. And because he was more than happy to take care of me, I bought a crap ton of tools off that Snap-on dealer. Like, he was one of the top dealers in the Southeast, not because of me, but he was a really good tool dealer. Yeah, the Hemi guy, the knuckle savers. That was what I was trying to think of. They dig into my hands too. That's why I don't like them. Renegade, have a good one. R3YNZ. We just installed a Challenger lift at the shop, and the arms on the lift have Chinese letter stickers. What kind of lift did you have installed? They have several models of lifts. The CL10 V3, CL10 V3 are US made. I don't know whether the arms are still made in the USA, but they do also have 100% Chinese made lifts that are made in China. So it could be one or the other. I don't know. Brett Sharrow, you see that Snap-on made their own wrenches like mountain wrenches. Did you see the price of them? They're rebuildable, but geez, I think they're like, what, $900? MT, what about Matco impact swivels? The actual Matco swivels are freaking awesome. Those are my go-to impact swivels, not the ADV. The ADV are rebranded, probably Sunex, or I think now they're made by PTT, but the Matco actual not made by Matco. They're made by they're made by the same company that makes all their sockets and their ratchets, not their wrenches. But no, those are freaking awesome. I love them. I've got them from 1/4 inch all the way up to 1/2 inch. They are everything you need in an impact swivel. They wear out, you break them, but it's usually what happens when you break them is the swivel doesn't want to swivel anymore. That's about it. I've never actually physically broken the socket or the actual, drive unit. It's always just the socket doesn't want to swivel anymore. Samuel Showhart, yep, just like the spring center punch. It's made by Spring Tools US. Spring Tools just brand some with the Snap-on logo on them. Yeah, I own the actual Spring Tools. I don't own the Snap-on ones. Actually, no, I do own the Snap-on ones too. Because I lost the dealer that I got the rest of them from, and I could only get them from Snap-on because they were like, you couldn't find them on Amazon, and so I bought them on the Snap-on truck. Saley 961, he's waiting for a replacement tap that broke about 2 years ago. They can't get them is because they're actually manufacturing their own. Because of the Stanley Works purchase of Irwin Hansen, all ties with Snap-on have been broken. So they are now in the process of manufacturing their own taps and dies. So they should warranty it with the new Snap-on stuff once it becomes available, but that's why. Yeah, the sad part is you spent a bunch of money for Hansen with the Snap-on name on it. Ulrich Patterson, I like the wrench rolls over racks. Really useful on Class 7, 8 trucks to crawl under the truck and you bring every wrench with you. Same with service calls. Yeah, I get the reason for the wrench rolls because of that kind of thing. Because remember, I worked on medium duty trucks, but yeah, I mean, it was like nasty and dusty, and like I'd have been pissed at how grungy the roll was to spend that much on it, and they would have been knuckle busters. G-Dot, can you do a follow-up review on the Milwaukee Insider? Yes, I will. Got to put it through its paces, try it in as many situations I can. That's the big one is use. I got to use it to I don't have fancy torque testing equipment to give you some BS value that means nothing in the real world. That's one of my problems with some of the channels out there. It's useful information to some extent, but does it break things loose in the real world? Because, anyway, but yeah, once I get enough seat time with it, I will be doing a follow-up review on it. Gordon Freeman, yep, when you go the distance, take care of your customers. They will take care of you. Just got to wait. Yes. R3YNZ, our Mac guy sucks too. Not my last Mac guy. The last Mac guy was really cool. Known him from years, used to be my Matco guy. And so he's real cool. Snap-on guy was relatively new, didn't have a lot of knowledge. He was cool, but the thing was despite me owning a channel that reviews tools, there wasn't a lot of I have not seen a lot of stuff that really made me go, I need to do a video on this. This is cool. And so my tool dealers were cool at that shop anyway. But that's the last Mac guy I've had. Samuel, I prefer the precision torque wrench that Mac has. It even has a knuckle saver heads on them. Absolutely love them. Yeah, the precision torque ones, I have those. Those were used and abused at the old shop because that's what those are the tools that everybody used when they did alignment. My tools. I had, one of the things I had to do was go down to the lower shop and get all my tools from the alignment rack. But they lived a hard life and were still more or less brand new, despite, being used for rusty, transient Atlantic population, tie rod ends, etc. they were really good wrenches. Brent, Cero, I already talked about Snap-on's new mountain wrenches. They're stupid expensive. They're rebuildable, but they're stupid expensive. MT, we'll look at the Matco branded impact swivels. Yeah, the Matco one's not the ADV. PTP, okay, I didn't know Sunex's parent company is Sunex. Good to know. Yeah, well, PTP is their, I would guess their reseller brand because they don't have any products that they brand themselves. But anyway, I restore Mopar Hemi Max Wedge cars. They were rusty up here in the PA, and I bought the RBRT stuff. Love it. I have the precision rest Torx socket. So far, I've taken rusted parts, no issues. They are great punches, though. Yes. Yeah, you talking about the spring punches? Yeah. Trust me, there's certain situations. Volvo window regulator rivets. Those came in really handy for that job. James, hello from Kentucky, my friend. Hello. I took delivery of the Delcan Farber. I took delivery of the M12 Milwaukee Insider box ratchet a few days ago, and so far it rocks. As was a ratchet should have always been. Cool. Yeah, definitely very useful. I definitely like the reversible either side kind of deal with the 1/4 inch. That's very nice. Yeah, Timothy, he tracked down an indie tool truck dealer and said he would order a product for me despite never purchasing anything from him before. He said he was going to show up to my shop now. That builds loyalty. Yes. That was one of the reasons my original Snap-on dealer got so much of my business is he took care of me. I needed a tool. He would overnight it and not charge me for it. I mean, he charged me up the wazoo, but that was Snap-on prices. But like he would literally overnight me a tool and, there would be no freight charge. It would just be the tool. So that's why I bought so much from him. Ulrich Patterson, I've been looking at getting a garage cabinet from Lowe's, Home Depot to store all the large blow molded cases. Looks like it'd be a lot cheaper than a toolbox locker. It's a lot cheaper. Yeah, I mean that's definitely a very good way to go. Lockers are extremely expensive but really nice, but that's a lot cheaper. What, $500 I think for most of those lockers. And they lock. They're not the most secure compared to a toolbox locker, but a hammer can get into a toolbox locker. So just saying, a locker and hammer and a screwdriver, you can bust the lock out on a toolbox. What brand would you recommend for a long flex head ratchets? The brand I would recommend, my personal preference on flex head ratchets, 3/8, 1/4 inch and all that, is my preference is Matco, especially with the locking flex head, lock. But personal preference, the Milwaukee stuff's good. The gear wrench stuff's good. The gear wrench and Matco stuff is the same design, different manufacturer. Snap-on stuff's good. Cornwell's not. The Mac stuff's good, but it has really small handles. That was actually one of the only complaints I had with the Mac ratchet I have was the small grip. I mean, it is tiny. It's almost as tiny as the old Snap-on Chrome. The ratchet itself was great. It didn't lock, but anyway. Yeah, I mean, get them in your hand, feel how they feel. Something you're going to have in your hand a lot. Touch it, feel it. You know, that's going to be a lot of the thing. Most of the products I talked about are going to be good quality. Aaron Moore, have you ever rebuilt a Eaton big truck transmission? No. No, I've pulled an Eaton transmission. I think it was an Eaton. But I've never rebuilt any. That was a clutch job, if I remember right. Swapped a lot of Allisons, swapped Max 6, or not swapped, clutch jobs on Mac midliners, the bigger Mac, stuff like that, but mostly Allisons on transmission work. But no, I've never rebuilt an Eaton. Never rebuilt a no, I've never rebuilt a manual transmission ever. I mean, I think I external stuff like shift forks and that kind of stuff, but I don't think I've actually physically rebuilt a manual transmission, even at tech school. I built an automatic transmission at tech school, but no, I don't think I have. Samuel, I don't think I could live without my side locker on my box. I know. I wish I had 3 more, honestly. But I don't even know if I can get that side locker. I can get this. No, I may not. They should be doing the side locker, but I may not be able to match paint. But Ulrich, I'd get a locker, but I got a Cornell Pro Series, and they just discontinuing it. Not able to order any Hutch locker. Great way to build brand loyalty. LOL. The Pro Series is the one they made in-house, isn't it, after they bought Kennedy, isn't it? That sucks. Yeah, that does suck. I mean, they discontinued my baby, the Revel X, so last I heard, you could still buy accessories for the Revel X. Custom, made to order, the kind of thing. But yeah, they discontinued my box too. It sucks. And that was a sad part, is like, oh yeah, this, new box, it's going to be around forever. I'm not going to have to worry about getting accessories for it. Discontinued my paint color, discontinued the box. Because that was one of the reasons why I had the teal box for so long, is, the Master Series didn't appeal to me because of the skinny drawers that I already had been dealing with, and I couldn't get accessories for it without paying bukus of money for a custom paint job. And it was like $2,000, I think, to get it color matched. And the Snap-on guy was like, oh yeah, and it's probably not going to match all that great because, yada, yada, yada. Samuel, I'm a sucker for a Snap-on hard handle ratchet. My ratchet drawer looks like a rainbow. LOL. I used to love the hard handles, and I bought when they reissued them in the high tooth count, and they didn't live up to my memories because I haven't had them for a very long time. Because I've been with, trading them in on Matco ratchets, and I'm like, oh man, I love those handles, but they were old coarse tooth. They weren't the fine tooth. And when they reissued them, I'm like, oh yeah, let me get one of those. And I'm like, I'm using it, and I'm going, this sucks. But again, as I was talking earlier, personal preference. I'm not dogging you on your personal preference. Everybody's hands are different. And, there's people out there that love the standard chrome handles, and I can't stand that, except in the really big, like 1/2-inch drives. It just sucks. Samuel, what made you get out of heavy trucks? I was in medium duty trucks, by the way. Money. Nobody in my area was hiring for somebody at my skill level that they weren't hiring for, a middle diesel tech, in the middle, just R&R, brakes, etc. They were hiring for the kids that were going to change oil and, clean the shop kind of stuff. And nobody around me was hiring that I could find that was willing to pay me anything what I was making when, so that's why I got an automotive. The money, which, in retrospect might have been less money, but I don't have to lift as heavy things. T. Corliss, adding on the tool truck rep discussion. My firm belief is in today's day and age it's all about customer service, even though the product is obviously why you're buying it in the first place. Abso-freaking-lutely. If you're not giving, in this day and age, the best customer service as a tool truck dealer, why are you in the business? Because that's all you have to offer is service. Not picking on them. The exclusives aren't, there are a lot less exclusives nowadays than they were back in the day. Yeah, if you're a tool truck dealer and you're not taking care of your customers right, why would anybody buy from you? But when you break a 36-inch, half-inch drive breaker bar just 2 days after buying it, and my Snap-on rep was surprised but yet happy to replace it. Turns out putting a 3-inch pipe on a 3-foot pipe on a 3-inch breaker bar is not good. LOL. I have broken a Snap-on breaker bar by hand, half-inch breaker bar, broke the pin, was about that far from breaking my hand because that missed the frame by that much. But no, we had a heck of a time with a Honda crank bolt. My 3/4 impact wouldn't budget. 3 of us between with this Honda special tool, the actual Honda special tool, we rainbowed a Snap-on breaker bar by hand and broke the one with the cheater bar on it. Luckily it had, when we broke the bar, it was enough of a boom to actually break the bolt loose. But yeah, we rainbowed one and broke one. So yeah, breaker bars can only take so much. Adrian Sanchez, what do you think about the new Snap-on double box end ratcheting wrenches? It's cool they're rebuildable, but Jesus, they're expensive. That's the problem. I mean, you can buy what? 3 or 4 sets of mountain wrenches for the cost of that? Is that really worth it? Buy them from Harbor Freight. They're the same as anybody else's. They're Icon, our Mountain, our Easy Red, our everybody's. Take it back and get it warrantied for a tenth the cost or a quarter of the cost. So yeah, I don't I don't think it's worth it. Ulrich, all my drawers are 2 or 3 inches high. I was worried at first they are pretty tall, but I think I prefer it more now than a lot of skinny drawers. I can just stack a lot of top stuff on top of each other. My Revel, which I've got a Revel and a Revel X, I specifically went for the deep drawers specifically for that reason, for being able to put like my complete set of radiator adapters in there, so I could just put the box in there and have them all set out. But yeah, I definitely prefer deep drawers to thin drawers. Aaron Moore, have you ever considered heavy equipment? Yeah, I mean, I've considered it, but I'm old. I'm 49 years old, and I don't want to work that hard. Eyeball room, are there any other trades that you have to spend as much on tools to do their job without having their own business? I was thinking about that earlier. Probably not. I mean, honestly, probably not. You know, it's part of the problem, and you know, is all the special tools that should be bought by the shop is one of the biggest problems. How many shops put on buying, well, I need these timing tools for this engine. Well, when are you buying them? So many shops put that on the techs, and that's completely wrong. Those should be shop tools. They should be provided by the shop. So we should not have massive collections because we have to buy this special tool, that special tool. I mean, look, I've got, timing tools for various vehicles in my toolbox, for Volvo, for GM, for Ford. A tech shouldn't be buying those. Those should be provided by the shop. That's a huge problem. We should be buying sockets and wrenches and power tools, and that's it. We shouldn't be buying, ball joint presses. We shouldn't be buying, scan tools. We shouldn't be buying smoke machines, etc. But so few shops are willing, with all the freaking problems in the world as far as finding technicians, there's still shops out there that won't provide that kind of equipment. So yeah, that is a huge problem. Mark, we just lost another Cornwall truck. Probably going to stop buying from any future Cornwall trucks. Yeah, see, that's the problem with Cornwall is, and I mean, not picking on Cornwall, but they have a problem with maintaining markets. And, it's not like Matco or Mac or Snap-on, where chances are there's going to be a replacement and, they might last longer, but you're probably going to still get service from them. Cornwall, you may never see another Cornwall dealer again. We never saw one at the old shop. We had a Cornwall dealer for like 2 years, and he quit, and we never saw another one again. And I've got broken Cornwall tools that I can't get warranted. Adrian Sanchez, it's funny is I have a Snap-on file set, and one of the files had a chip, and I gave it to my Snap-on rep, and he said it wasn't warranted. It's called Snap-on customer service, and they said it was. That might be his lack of knowledge on warranty. Might be he didn't want to warranty it. The thing about it is warranty on a tool truck, he doesn't pay for the tool, but he does pay for shipping the tool back to the manufacturer for warranty so he can get a credit, and it comes out of his inventory. So, like, I've never had any tool truck dealer, even on stuff that was questionable, give me crap about warranty. But yeah, that is bad service. When in doubt, warranty it. Ulrich, our Cornwall guy, has been saying he might go independent and drop the Cornwall branding. Yeah, I mean, it's a franchise. You pay franchise fees. He's got the truck. If it's in his name, he's got to pay for it. So a lot of hammer slanging for sure in heavy equipment. Oh yeah. Brake flush merchant. Do Snap-on hand tools last forever? No. Nope. I've broken plenty of Snap-on tools over the years. Aaron, definitely for the younger tradesmen. Yeah. I didn't get this gray hair by, not being, old. I bring my own alignment rack. We break for squirrels. Cornhole. I am Cornholio. Sparky Seabiscuit, I've got a job. I talked about it. It's, I'm not going to film in the shop because of various issues. Philman, extra long box wrenches, sometimes referred to aviation wrenches, are available with zero offset as well as angled. Any opinion on whether it's better to get those wrenches with an offset? The offset is generally going to be better. To give a simple example, I've got I got a snap-on set and I've got a gear wrench that are double-sided, ratcheting on one end, zero offset, or zero angle with the offset side. If you need the no offset, with the raised part, you flip it over and go the other way. I use that wrench all the time doing the 2.0 Volkswagen water pumps. You have to get that little belt tension off of it so you can, get the water pump out. Sorry, I didn't slip the belt off. I liked rather taking the tension off that belt so I didn't have trouble getting it back on, getting it on the pins and warping the plastic housings. And I didn't have comebacks on those water pumps, just saying. But I use that 12 millimeter wrench to do that reverse bolt a lot. The guy from Obsessed Garage is a cornhole, LOL. Not familiar with him, so I don't know. Yeah, T. Corliss. Yeah, the beauty about the most diesel fleet shop: spindle sockets, ball joints press, 1-inch pneumatic leaf spring bushing presses. They provide them. Yeah. I don't know why automotive is so bad about that. It does suck. There's lots of shops that do provide that kind of tool, but they're not as common as they should be. Thank you, Sparky Seabiscuit. Nick Mayo, Snap-on is great if you get a school discount. Yeah, it is. Jason, I've been waiting 2 months on the Snap-on 3/8 electric drive. Why is it taking so long? Samuel Sunhart, just learned the grips on my Snap-on pliers isn't under warranty. Kind of disappointed. I was really disappointed when I found out the rubber grips on my Snap-on ratchet, regular, fine tooth. Because remember, I had Snap-on for a long time. Those grips aren't warranted. I'm like, the hell? It's part of the ratchet. Nope, not warranted. It was like, really? It was like $40 to replace the grip. Oh, I forget what happened, but I shaved like half the one side off of the grip. So anyway, yeah, no, I mean, they surprising some of the stuff that's not warranty, but like Matco, not shaming Snap-on, but that grip on Snap-on is replaceable by knocking it off and knocking a new one on. The Matco one, that grip goes bad, they just give you a new ratchet. At least my Matco did. My Matco dealer did. Not just for me, but other people. But that grip is also not field replaceable. So that might have something to do with it. Aaron Moore, do you ever watch the Middle Eastern and Asian guys repair heavy equipment and trucks? Stuff is pretty crazy what they do without using name brand tools. Tells you a lot, LOL. If it gets the bolts in and out, it works. Working is what matters. Coexist, get the Harbor Freight 3/8 electric ratchet or impact. It's battle tested. Caden, same boat, brand new Snap-on 1/4 inch 72, got Skydroll on it, 8 through the rubber, just couldn't get it warranted. Super disappointing. Yeah, I was like $40 for a damn grip. But at that shop, I had an independent guy and a Snap-on guy that sucked. The independent guy was good, but the Snap-on guy sucked. And Matco guy wouldn't show up. And we didn't have a Mac guy. T. Corliss, I am all yours in automotive. What was one type of repair that seemed to be all too common to one brand? Like, for example, in our shop, 70 Freightliners, it's always radiator season. Chrysler Jeep Grand Cherokees, always oil coolers and always condensers. Rocker arms failure. Tahoes, condensers, Silverados, condensers. I mean, Hondas, alternators, certain models that weren't taken care of, jump time. I mean, there was tons of pattern failures with certain vehicles. Brake flush merchant. Do you ever watch Uncle Tony's Garage? No. No. I have pulled back on the automotive stuff I watch. But I'm not familiar with Uncle Tony's Garage. That's okay. Yeah, no, I don't watch him. MT, I like the Matco screwdriver handles. Yeah, no, I've got their screwdrivers because they were orange. I had mix match screwdrivers, and I was like, there was something that happened. Oh, I think I lost a screwdriver, and like I had like 3 different kinds of screwdrivers, and I'm like, Matco stuff was on sale, and it was orange, so I'm like, okay, fine, buy that. Mostly just to not have mismatched screwdrivers all over the place. Timothy Newman, 0817 Accord rear calipers. Those go bad all the time. Tacoma, Sequoia, Tundra front calipers all the freaking time. Like, we pretty much every Toyota with the 4-piston calipers, customers got warned. I mean, like, we pretty much wrote them up for calipers, and like they push back in, we're good. If not, you're going to need calipers. Because it was just so common. And the problem is with those calipers, you'd push them in like 90% of the way and they would stop, like dead stop. And you can't do anything. You can't put brake pads in it. So needs calipers. That was a big one. That's a big one in this area, is those 4-piston calipers. Write it up for calipers. Orange, my favorite color too. Yeah, MT. Orange. Paul Hassinger, what kind of floor jack are you using for home use? Ancient. It is the brand doesn't exist anymore. I mean, it's old. I bought it at Sam's a long time ago. It still works. It was a lot cheaper than Lincoln floor jacks, I can tell you that much. And I've got the engine stand and the Easy XL. Yeah. Let me see if I can find that. So XL, this is my engine hoist I still have that is ancient, and I still have my engine hoist, my engine stand, and my jack from Excel. And they are ungodly old. I mean, gotta be close to 30 years old. Gotta be. I mean, I was pulling engines in my driveway when I was 18, 19 with that engine hoist. And that jack. So, yeah. Sure there's some comments on that one. So yeah. ISO, review the new Milwaukee half-inch impact. Considering getting it, get it. It's a beast. It's a beast. I did the initial impressions on that impact. I mean, they more power, more better. We break for school. I remember when tools were tools, not designer plastic garbage. Paul Hassinger, Viking. Is it Buffalo? It's still working. Yeah, that's saying something. Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, it still has the original ram on it. The engine hoist and the jack, obviously. The jack, you just get a new one, but the engine hoist still has the original jack on it. I haven't used it in years, so it may or may not work, but how much more power over generation in the half-inch Milwaukee? It's a couple hundred foot-pounds difference. If you're not having problems, if you have the old gun and it's not giving you problems, probably not worth it unless you just want the new hotness. But if it's starting to get weak and that kind of stuff, I mean, it might be time to upgrade. But if it's doing everything you need to do, it's a marginal upgrade. It's not going to be like earth shattering. Oh, Viking was an old brand of floor jack. Yeah, I remember Vikings. No, it's like that brand has been gone for so long. I was surprised it came up in a Google search, honestly. Paulo, greetings from Springfield, Massachusetts. Hello from Georgia. Ulrich, at what point do you think it's worth buying the rebranded Lyle OTC stuff off the truck? When the warranty is more valuable than the added cost. When you can buy something on the tool truck that's warranted, like almost everything OTC is warranted. Lyle is a little more, pick and choose kind of branding, but OTC almost everything is warranted. So like the cups and all that for the OTC, like hub tamer, that's all warranted. Or like their ball joint presses. When you can, screw something up, walk on the truck, get them to order a new one, rather than having to go through the rigmarole of contacting customer service, giving them a part number, which can be really hard on an old piece of equipment. That's where it's more valuable, when the convenience outweighs, the additional cost. That's when I would buy it off the tool truck. I mean, that's been my kind of, not my goal, but how I purchase tools. If it's going to be, I'm going to use it here or there, I'm not buying it off the tool truck. If I'm going to use this constantly, tool truck might be a good way to go, so you can, you break it, you hand it to the tool truck, you get a new one. that's where I would look at buying it off the tool truck, is when warranty is incredibly valuable. So if you use it a lot, you know, yes, some stuff isn't marked up a lot. Some is like 2 times the cost. Yeah, some of it's twice what you can buy it for on Amazon. Not even making that up. That's really sad. T. Corellis, speaking of impacts, doesn't matter whether it's air or electric. Where in the hell do these manufacturers come up with these numbers? 99% of the time, when they're testing it. So the thing is the testing methodology between like Torque Test Channel and, you know, the guy that came before him is not testing the same way the manufacturers tested. When they go nut busting torque, it hit that number for a very limited amount of time. And that's the number they put up there. Basically, it hits a number once. They say that's the number. As long as they can do it over and over again, repeatedly hit it, it spikes to one number and then comes down to what it's actually hitting at. That's where that high number comes from. Let me look at that one real quick. Alejandro, review the CRP 919 from launch in full. How much would the updates cost? Updates are the problem with putting costs of anything in a video is in a year, prices may be very different, even for the tool, even for the updates. The CRP is going to do electronic parking brakes. I've done a lot of launch scan tool reviews, so I don't know if I specifically will do that one, but coexist. Greetings from Connecticut. Hello. ISO opinions on Tecton tools, specifically impact sockets. I don't believe I've ever used their impact sockets. I have a very limited amount of Tecton tools, maybe a couple. I know people talk about them. They're good. I don't have a lot of experience personally with them. Nick Mayo, by the way, just got back from Georgia. Atlanta traffic is way worse than CA traffic. Rivals LA. Yes, it does. Choppy, have I used the MK808 from Autel? Yes, I have. I don't own one. Coworker had one. Ulrich, Sunex impact sockets are hands down the best if you're going to buy from the internet. Yes, because you can get them warranted. Gray Pneumatics warranty is a problem because it's warranted by the seller, not by the manufacturer. So, let me double check exactly. MK808, yeah, MX808. Oh, I hate you. Yeah, that's the... Yeah, I haven't used it extensively. It was a tool that other technique, talking to Choppy, haven't used it extensively. I don't remember how much bidirectional controls there were. Mostly looking at other technicians, scan tools, looking at data, trying to help them diagnose a car. So usually what happened, we break for school. If you increase airline diameter, you get the full potential of an impact. Yes. That's why you're supposed to have 3/4 inch hose going to a 3/4 and 1 inch impact. But yeah, but a lot of times when I would help a technician working on a car, I would usually bring over another scan tool because screens like that, I'm old. And being more familiar with how my tools are laid out is generally how I would help them. So I don't have a ton of experience using it to actually diagnose cars. So I don't remember exactly what the features were off the top of my head. Unfortunately, because I didn't own it and I only used it when I was helping other technicians. So I want to say it had bidirectional controls, but I don't remember off the top of my head. All right, I'm starting to lose my voice, so I guess I'm gonna go ahead and call the stream. It has been an hour and 51 minutes, so I'm gonna go ahead and go smoke a cigar and relax for the rest of the night. So hope everybody enjoyed the stream. As always, thanks for watching. I am the flatratemaster. Yeah, LOL, yeah. Yeah, Ulrich, yeah. On a 1/4 inch MBT, killed it. I know, I have one. It's dumped down to 1/4 inch. It's all right. Have a good one, y'all.